What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be getting into my bracketology update, January 16th edition. So let's get into this right here. Starting out with the bracket watch, another crazy week here. But the top overall seed is going to be Purdue. The Boilermakers are there. And then look at that. The first team out is the Gonzaga Bulldogs. I believe they took another loss this weekend. Gonzaga, that would be crazy to see them not in the field of play. Last team in is going to be the Boise State Broncos there. They got a big win this week to Colorado State. I believe so. It was against Colorado State. But yeah, good big win for them. Then we look at the bubble here. The last four byes are going to be Texas Tech, South Carolina, Nebraska, and then Northwestern. Last for in are Wake Forest, Ohio State, Miami, who lost to Louisville a week. I don't remember when it was. Maybe it was on Saturday, but Miami lost that one, and then Boise State. First route is going to be the Bulldogs of Gonzaga. Colorado's now out of the field. Cincinnati and Providence. Then the next four out are Indiana State, Florida, Kansas State, and the Butler Bulldogs. If we look at this full bracket here, starting out with the 16 or the playing games, Omaha's going to be new to the field as a 16 seed. Miami new to the field as a 12, as well as Boise State new to the field there. Wake Forest, I don't believe they're new to the field, but that's what it says, so we'll just call it that. And then Ohio State's going to be dropping down there to the plan. And then comment down below what that is. See Connecticut, somewhere in Connecticut. But comment down below, guys, what college that is. But see Connecticut new to the field as a 16. In the Midwest region here, Purdue's obviously still the number one seed, bouncing back over the weekend after their loss to Nebraska. We have Nevada going to be dropping down to the 8th seed. By the way, this Mountain West Conference, we can see it now. It's a tight conference again this year. A lot of good teams from that conference that you should keep an eye out from. Not that this year they don't really have that top team that's going to be like a 4 seed. Or a 3 seed or something, but they have a lot of teams that are like around the 6 to 11 range. But then, yeah, look at one there, Utah State jumping up to the 6th. They came back by a lot against, I believe it was UNLV maybe, or someone. They came back and beat them just barely in that one. Then we have the Baylor Bears jumping up to the 3 seed, as well as Eastern Washington jumping up to the 14 seed. We have St. John's going to be jumping to the 7, as well as Nebraska dropping down to the 10, and then Winthrop new to the field at a 15. In the East region, we have UConn at that number 1 seed. Eastern Kentucky jumping up to the 16 seed. Texas A&M's going to be jumping to the 8 seed, as well as Michigan State going to be falling down there to that 9 seed. We have Memphis jumping up to the 4 seed, surviving in their matchup on Sunday. Then we have Northwestern dropping into the 11, and then Southern jumping up to the 15. In the South region here, we have North Carolina jumping up to the 1. TCU new to the field at a 9 seed. After getting a huge win to Houston. By the way, we'll get to Houston, but Houston's now dropped 2 straight. TCU gets a big win. They are now in the field right there. Dayton going to be jumping to the 5 seed. Oregon jumping up to the 10, and then we see there Houston seeming like they're not prepared for Big 12 play right now, dropping down to the 2 seed. In the West region, we have Kansas back up to the 1 line. Seton Hall going to be jumping up to the 9 seed. By the way, I believe TCU, who did they beat earlier? They beat someone good earlier. So that's back-to-back good wins for them. But anyway, Seton Hall jumping up to the 9. We have San Diego State going to be dropping down to the 6th seed. South Carolina jumping up to the 10. Arizona dropping down to the 2 after taking another unfortunate loss for them. And then Sam Houston into the field at a 15. Sorry, guys. My voice has been a little bit weird. If that's why it sounds a little bit weird in this video, that's why. But anyway, starting out with this bracket here, Miami versus Boise State. I do believe I'm going to edge out Boise State in that one because of that Louisville loss. That was not great. That's a good Boise State team. So I'm going to just barely give that one to Boise State in a tight battle there. I do think Lafayette will beat Omaha. I will go with Ohio State to pull off the win over Wake Forest. And then North Carolina Central University, I think, beats something Connecticut. Again, comment down below if you guys know that. I have not seen Connecticut yet in a while in these tournaments I've done. All right, but anyway, let's get into this bracket here. Starting out with Purdue versus Lafayette, I do think I would have to go with Purdue in that matchup. Nevada, I think, would hold off Mississippi State. And I'm going to go with the 12/5. Let's start out with a bang there with the 12/5. St. Mary's beating Oklahoma. Don't get me wrong, Oklahoma's a good team out of the Big 12, but they got upset to TCU. That's who TCU beat on like Tuesday or something. But yeah, like I said, St. Mary's, really good team, a really experienced team in the tournament. They've been in it in the past. It's a good Oklahoma team, but I do think they lose. St. Mary's was actually in the tournament a year ago as a 5 seed. So St. Mary's pulls off the upset. And then I'm going to go with another upset. Let's go with UC Irvine to beat Marquette. Go with the 13/4. I'm just not a believer in Marquette right now. They've just been an inconsistent team. I do think they can get upset here in a first round like this. You know, you look at a game like UC Irvine, you look at a team like that, that's a good UC Irvine team. And I think they do pull off that win in an upset. Marquette, they are very talented, but they're also been very inconsistent this year. So that's why I am going to go with UC Irvine. And then moving on, we do have Utah State Grand Canyon. I really kind of want to go with the 11/6 in this matchup with Grand Canyon pulling off the win. I just don't know if I can do that, though. I'm going to do it. Why the frick not? Let's go with Grand Canyon. Utah State, don't get me wrong. They've been playing really good basketball out of the Mountain West Conference. But, you know, they did struggle in that first half in their previous matchup, pulling off a crazy win in the end, though. Give them credit. They did get that win. But still, sometimes those crazy wins can kind of quiet the whole picture there. Grand Canyon's been a very good team this season. I think that they very much can beat a lot of 6 seeds in this tournament if they end up being a 11 seed. So give me Grand Canyon to pull off that win. And then Baylor, I do think, would be Eastern Washington. St. John's, Nebraska, 7-10. Rick Pitino's team just barely lost to Creighton. It was a close game, but just barely got the loss. That's a good St. John's team. Nebraska, also really solid team out of the Mountain West, not the Mountain West, the Big Ten. I don't think they'll get that one, though, over St. John's. So give me St. John's to win, and then I will go with Tennessee to pull off the win over Winthrop. All right, moving on, we have Kansas beating Western Illinois in that matchup. Utah Seton Hall, I am going to go with the 9/8 upset there with Seton Hall pulling off the win. Alabama, they've kind of earned my respect back over the past few games. Give me them to beat Boise State in a tough matchup there. But give me Creighton to beat Samford. Right when I moved San Diego State to the Elite Eight last time, they do lose. It's a good Ohio State team. I do think I'm going to slightly give the edge to San Diego State. It's still a very experienced San Diego State team. They just made the Final Four last year. So I do think they would be able to hold off a good Ohio State team, but I could see Ohio State pulling off the win. But moving on, we do have Kentucky, I think, winning against Oakland. Iowa State, South Carolina, 7 seed versus a 10 seed. I am going to go with the 7 seed Iowa State, who have a big game tonight versus BYU. We'll see what happens in that one. But give me Iowa State. And Arizona, I think, beats South Carolina. Moving on, we do have UConn taking on Eastern Kentucky. Give me Connecticut in that matchup. Texas A&M, Michigan State, 8 seed versus a 9 seed. Give me tight one. I do think I'm going to give the slight edge to Texas A&M, but that one could go either way. I am going to go with Clemson to beat McNeese State. I do think Clemson's a team that can get upset, but I don't think that's going to happen against a team like McNeese State, so give me Clemson. Memphis, I do think, would beat Drexel. BYU, I think, would hold off Northwestern. Duke, I think, would pull off the win versus Vermont. Then I'm going to go with the slight 10-7 upset here with Texas Tech pulling off the win over Villanova. I trust that Texas Tech team more than I do Villanova at this point. And then give me Wisconsin to beat Southern. Down in this region, North Carolina versus North Carolina Central. A good North Carolina matchup there. But I am going to go with North Carolina to win that one. I'm going to go with TCU to pull off the win over Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a good 8 seed, but I do think they lose that one to a red-hot TCU team right now. Dayton Drake, 5 versus a 12 seed. I'm going to go with Dayton in that matchup. Illinois, I do think, beats Akron. Florida Atlantic, Princeton, good matchup, but I'm going to go with Florida Atlantic in that game. Auburn, I do think, pulls off the win versus Troy. Colorado State, Oregon. Let's go with another 10-7 here with Oregon pulling off the win over Colorado State. Like that Oregon team, Colorado State, I think might be a little bit fraudulent this season. But moving on, Houston St. Peter's. Do I pull off the 15-2? I don't think so. Houston's still been very good in non-conference play. I think they would handle business against a team like St. Peter's. A lot of question mark 2 seeds, honestly, in this right now in this tournament. But moving on, for a spot in the Sweet 16, we do have Purdue and we do have Nevada. I do think Purdue will be able to handle business and move on. Then we have a 12 versus a 13 matchup, St. Mary's, UC Irvine. I think I would go with St. Mary's out of the West Coast Conference to move on, represent that conference in the Sweet 16, unlike Gonzaga this year. Baylor, Grand Canyon. A week ago, I'd probably pick Grand Canyon in the upset, but Baylor's been playing good basketball. I am going to have to go with them to pull off the win. Then I'm going to go with St. John's and Rick Pitino's squad to pull off the win over Tennessee. Just not a believer in Tennessee. If you've been watching, you know this already. Tennessee's been a weird team to me. I just don't have a good faith in them. St. John's been a good team this season. Rick Pitino's leading a good team. So give me them to move on as a 7 seed. Crazy region there. 1, 12, 3, and 7 right now. Down in this region, Kansas, Seton Hall. I'm going to go with the Jayhawks to survive in that one. Alabama, Creighton. Really good matchup there. I'm going to have to go with the Blue Jays, though, of Creighton to survive. I am going to go Kentucky to beat San Diego State, though, in that one. And Arizona, I think, would survive versus Iowa State. But at this point, Arizona's not been playing great here. I could see them getting upset. But if that Arizona team's on, man, it's tough to stop them. So that one is going to be a chalk region in that second round. Let's see if we have some upsets in this region. UConn, Texas A&M. We'll have to go with that Connecticut team, the champions, the defending champs. I do think Memphis they get a favorable draw for sure against Clemson. I think Clemson's a fraudulent 5 seed right there. And then Duke versus BYU. I do think I would have to go with Duke in that matchup, as well as Wisconsin beating Texas Tech. I did go with the 10-2 upset last time. I don't see it happening there, giving Wisconsin. So the past 2 regions have been chalk. This region might be chalk too, but let's see. North Carolina versus TCU. I am going to go with North Carolina. Then Dayton, Illinois. Illinois just lost. I don't think this team's the same after they lost. Sanders, man, I just don't think that's the same team. That Dayton Flyers team is a good team. So give me them in the slight upset right there. Florida Atlantic, Auburn. I will go with Auburn there. And then do I go with a 10-2 upset there? I'm not going to do it, guys. I'm a believer in Houston. I still think that's a good team. So give me them to pull off the win over Oregon. Okay. For a spot in the Elite Eight, Purdue, St. Mary's. This would be the most Purdue thing to do, is lose to a 12 seed in the Sweet 16. We saw them do that against a 15 seed in St. Peter's. I don't think so this time. Give me Purdue to beat St. Mary's. And then Baylor, St. John's. I really kind of want to move St. John's. I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with the Baylor Bears. I'm going to give them some respect on this one. Give me them to pull off the win. Kansas, Creighton, 1 versus a 4 seed. I'm actually going to go with Creighton here. Why not? Let's go with the Blue Jays to pull off this upset here. Good Blue Jays team. Obviously, a battle of the birds. The Jayhawks are obviously really freaking good as well. But I do like that Creighton team just a little bit more at this point in time. Give me them to pull off the win. And then Arizona, Kentucky, battle of two Wildcat teams. Interesting game. I think I'm going to have to go with Kentucky at this point in time. The way Arizona's been playing lately, I think I would go with Kentucky to move on. Next up, UConn, Memphis, 1 versus a 4 seed. Battle of two, or a former American Conference team in UConn. I really kind of want to go with Memphis here, and I think I'm honestly going to do it. Let's go with the 4/1. National champions. UConn, just former national champs, just seem to struggle in the tournament. I think that's going to happen here. I'm a big believer in Memphis as well, so give me them to pull off the win over UConn. And then I do think that Duke will pull off the upset over Wisconsin to move on to the final, or the Elite Eight. So interesting that we have all three seeds here. We'll see if that continues. But North Carolina, Dayton, I think I'm going to have to go with the Tar Heels to beat Dayton. And then Auburn, Houston, 3-seeded team versus a 2-seed. Another 3 seed. So all 2 seeds are eliminated. Give me Auburn to move on past Houston. I'm going to have to count against Houston the way they've been playing lately. So give me Auburn. Really good team there to move on to the Elite Eight. All right, Purdue, Baylor, 1 seed versus a 3 seed here. I'm going to have to go with the Boilermakers there. I'm going to move the Boilermakers on to the Final Four. Still a good Purdue team with Zach Edey. Creighton versus Kentucky, 4-seeded team versus a 3 seed. Now I'm actually going to go with Creighton. Let's go with the Blue Jays to beat the Wildcats. Give them some love. I put Kentucky in the Final Four last time. Not going to do it this time. Give me Creighton. Moving on. Memphis, Duke, 4-seeded team versus a 3 seed. As much as I like Memphis, I think I would have to go with Duke as a 3 seed in that matchup. That Duke team really solid. There, Memphis. I don't think they would have enough in that matchup. And then North Carolina, Auburn. I think I'm going to have to go with North Carolina. Auburn's a Final Four caliber team, but I don't think it happens against a really good North Carolina team. So give me them to move on to the Final Four. So the Final Four right now, we do have Purdue, a 1 seed in North Carolina, a 3 seed in Duke, and a 4 seed in Creighton. Purdue versus Creighton for a spot in the national championship. Let's get wild with it. Why not go with the Blue Jays? Moving on. Would I bet on this Blue Jays team who's been inconsistent in probably the real March Madness? Probably not. But we're having fun here. Creighton, this team can explode. I could see this team going on a crazy run. They almost did it last year, just barely lost to San Diego State. Why not do it here? Give me them to beat Purdue. And then Duke versus North Carolina. Rivalry game here. This one would be so fun to watch just from a history perspective. I do think I am going to go with the 1 seed North Carolina, though. So now a national championship, interesting game. Creighton, North Carolina for a spot or for the championship. I'm going to go with back-to-back North Carolina championships. I just think this North Carolina team's getting red hot at the right moment. They're playing really good basketball. It's obviously a talented roster for a reason. I think they pop off this time around. Give me them to pull off the championship win over Creighton. So anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this content. Comment down below your thoughts and predictions. Anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. Peace out.